There are a number of questions left unanswered regarding the hero in Breath of the Wild. The single largest one involves his past, which is only briefly touched on. Given that Link is a silent protagonist, it would make sense not to touch on his past that much, as he really can't talk to anybody else about it. In fact, all instances of his past are either talked about at him or inferred from events we see around him. It's clear that in order to keep things vague, the developers gave him amnesia as a side effect to the Shrine of Resurrection. This process isn't explained in-game and only seems to exist to justify gathering memories, which builds the foundation of the game's story. Still, the fact that Link lost his memory seems unusual to me, as the Shrine of Resurrection seems to have only repaired his body with no need to alter his mind. More or less, even with spending 100 years in stasis, there isn't any real justification for a case of amnesia. Because of this and the technology we see in play, I have come to an interesting conclusion as to the truth behind the hero's memory loss, and there is some pretty good evidence supporting it. With all of that said, I'm Cornelius Belmont, and let's talk about why the Breath of the Wild hero is fake. Before we begin, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I put a lot of work into these videos, and the channel needs all the support it can get. With that out of the way, let's dig in. Link's amnesia comes about as a result of the Shrine of Resurrection. This is clearly stated by Zelda when talking to the Deku Tree. As such, when he awakens, he needs to be guided by a few key characters in order to proceed with his quest. First of which is Princess Zelda, who awakens him, and then by the King of Hyrule on the Great Plateau. After that, he is sent to meet with Impa, who in turn sends him to Pora and Robbie. From there, he makes his way to the homes of the 4 other races. In each location, he teams up with a new modern champion and frees a divine beast. After he frees a divine beast, Link will receive advice about the location of the Master Sword, which will eventually lead him to the Korok Forest. Finally, upon freeing all of the Divine Beast, Zelda will guide him to Master Monk Maz Koshia, who in turn will give Link a final test. From there, outside of dozens of side quests, the only thing left for Link to do is assault Hyrule Castle. It is noteworthy that in each step along the hero's journey, there is some guidance despite how open world the game is. The big players in this guidance are Princess Zelda, King Rome, Impa, Pora, Robbie, and Maz Koshia. Each of these people happen to be part of the royal family or the Sheikah tribe, and as we all know, there are some pretty dark skeletons in the royal family's closet. This ultimately boils down to the idea that the Link we are playing as in Breath of the Wild isn't the same Link that existed 100 years earlier, but instead a replacement created using Sheikah technology that was developed in the event that the hero was ever lost. I know that might seem a little far-fetched, but let me go through my reasoning with you. We know that Sheikah technology was banned 10,000 years earlier. And we also know that they were trying to use their technology to reproduce aspects of the hero, specifically the Master Sword. In Hyrule Castle, you can find a sword that clearly states it was created as a replica to seal the darkness, though its low durability made it ineffective. Likewise, the blue energy sources that they are tapping into has properties similar to the Master Sword itself, capable of wiping out malice from Guardians, and being able to break the weak points on Dark Beast Ganon. So let's say all of that was true, that the Sheikah were trying to replicate parts of the hero, probably with the intention of being able to fight off Ganon should he ever appear again. Well, now let's look at the Shrine of Resurrection a bit more critically. Consider that, if the Sheikah had the means of creating matter from energy, or at least being able to break it down and reconstruct it, that is just a step away from mass production. Of course, the hero isn't something that can be replicated over and over. as the spirit of the hero is locked into a system put in place by the goddess Hylia. This is where the conflict with the Sheikah and the royal family happened. The Sheikah, with their advanced technology, were on a slippery slope with the royal family going along with it. First, they wanted satellite-style technology, then Sheikah runes that could spontaneously create explosions, modify the world, and even manipulate time. Teleportation then became possible, being able to teleport not just a single person, but potentially entire armies. Not satisfied with their technological marvels, they then started to create weapons under the pretense of helping the hero, and eventually made the Divine Beast the most powerful weapons ever built. Still, they pushed forward. They wanted to make a hero, and maybe even replace him. After all, why depend on a single hero to appear, when you could have many mini-heroes and machines that could do the same job? Eventually, in this process, they pushed too far and the royal family had to take a stand against it. I imagine it came when wanting to create a new hero. Perhaps shortly after sealing the Calamity 10,000 years ago. There may have even been talk of further conquest beyond Hyrule. Still, such an act of tampering with the hero may have been seen as tampering with the gods, and so despite the creation of such technology, it was never used. The ban on Sheikah technology was put in place, and that caused a divide in the Sheikah tribe. This would lead to Sheikah loyalists living peacefully in Kakariko village, while the defectors would leave and form the Yiga clan. As thousands of years passed, memories of the advanced technology faded. There is likely only a couple of people who might be aware of this still. Maz Koshia, and a handful of mummified monks, the Deku Tree, and perhaps Fi in the Master Sword. I'll come back to her later. So, 10,000 years pass. A prophet alerts the royal family as to the coming of the Calamity, and so they begin digging up the lost technology. In this time, they find a new hero who successfully draws the Master Sword. Eventually, the Calamity strikes, and all the tragedy takes place, which leads to a final stand at Fort Hateno. It is here that the hero falls. When Zelda rushes to her fallen knight, she hears the Master Sword speak to her, telling her what to do to save him. A pair of Sheikah warriors come running to her aid, and she gives them the order to take Link to the Shrine of Resurrection, and to do so quickly or they may lose Link forever. I believe that when Zelda ordered this, she knew exactly what the Shrine of Resurrection was, and the technology that it used. Her hope was that if Link was taken there quick enough, it would be able to save him before he died, and if so, he would retain his memories, his soul, and thus the spirit of the hero. But she would also know that if a dead hero were to arrive, the machine would be able to restore his body, but the Link that she knew and had grown so attached to would have moved on. I believe that there was a reassurance to Zelda that even if Link passed on, Fi would be willing to accept the replacement as a new hero. This isn't without merit, as we have seen the creation of a new hero before in the adult timeline. Of course, that timeline may have involved the creation of a new Master Sword, but that's not really what this video is about. It's just worth noting that if the hero was lost for whatever reason, a new one could be created to fill the void. So with Link being taken to the Shrine of Resurrection, and Zelda headed to the Korok Forest with the Master Sword, Impa, Pora, and Robbie work to secure and start the healing process on Link. Those three play a more important role because they would begin planning how to deal with Link when he was restored in 100 years, and they prepared for both outcomes. If Link awakens with his memory, there would be no problem at all because that would mean that the soul of the hero remained intact. However, if he awoke without his memories, they knew they were going to have to guide him in order to turn him into the hero they needed to save the kingdom. If you look at their interactions with him when he shows up to meet each of them, they don't seem that surprised that he lost his memory. For that matter, when the king confronts Link, he doesn't seem that surprised either. The king actually takes it upon himself to give Link some basic lessons, as well as try to enforce some semblance of modesty. When confronting the elder Impa, she first tries to coax some memories out of him, hoping that they are just locked away or something. But eventually she ends up concluding that the memories were indeed lost. She then says, "I see. So you have lost your memory. Well, it matters not. In fact, it may actually be a blessing in disguise for the time being." When confronting Pora, she seems to not even want to talk about it, only briefly saying, "I see your scars from 100 years ago have mostly healed." Likewise, Robbie wants to see all of Link's body, solely for scientific reasons, of course, and to confirm if Link's scars match the wounds from 100 years ago. To be fair, he may be paranoid about Yiga agents. Afterwards, they help him on his path to repairing the Sheikah slate, and in the process, allow access to the pictures Princess Zelda took 100 years earlier alongside him. Impa also gives Link the champion's tunic, having been repaired and kept safe, apparently by request of the princess. All of these play off the helping Link to remember concept, but what really is going on is a bit more dubious. See, what they have actually done is, upon the death of Link, they took him to a machine that would restore his body, but not his mind. Link then awoke 100 years later, just as planned, with a completely blank memory, outside of basic functions like walking and talking, with Link coming back as a blank slate. He is effectively a brand new person that these people are manipulating, though they are doing so with good intentions, that being to create a replacement for the fallen hero. It gets a bit worse though. Let's talk about the memories. There are a total of 13 memories that Link can seek out throughout the course of the game. 12 of them come from photos in the Sheikah slate, and one as a painting kept with Impa. Link eventually travels to these spots where he begins to remember. However, the catch here is that he isn't actually remembering. Remember that all the photos were taken by Zelda, and Pora states that Link would have been present for all the photos that Zelda took. What's going on here isn't that Link's memory is being jogged, but that Princess Zelda is using her vaguely defined powers in order to implant memories into Link's head. Remember that she has a direct mental connection with Link, and speaks directly to him throughout several points in the game. We have seen this in other games as well, such as A Link to the Past, though the princess's powers do develop differently from generation to generation. Given her connection, it doesn't seem unreasonable that she may be able to do more to somebody's mind. That might seem a bit rooted in science fiction, but take a look at the Sheikah technology. I mean, they created a motorcycle. So when Link manages to go to these spots, all of course with Zelda keeping watch over him, she uses that connection to recreate a memory for him, perhaps hoping that it will help fill in the blanks. Why is she doing this? Well, superficially it is to help remake the champion to fight Ganon with. But I think that on a deeper level, she simply can't let Link go. Honestly, I don't blame her, because right as she was coming to terms with her feelings for him, everything fell apart with him dying to protect her. Now, some of you might realize that there are 4 memories that Link has not triggered by the Sheikah slate, each of which are connected to the Divine Beast quest. These 4 memories are triggered by a location or object that Link sees. Here's the thing about that though. These scenes could easily have been something that Zelda created. Sure, she wasn't present for 3 of the 4 of those memories, but she could have created a memory based on her interpretation of things she had heard about. The boulder incident with Daruk on Death Mountain is something she probably would have learned of, not to mention the history with Mipha and Link. And there is obviously a rivalry between Revali, even if it is only one-sided. In a best-case scenario, she was trying to recreate important or touching memories that she thought the new Link should have, presumably to make him a better hero. At worst, she is trying to better form this new life-form replacement into the mold of the Link that she wants to have. There is another thing that really helps to sell this theory. the Master Sword. As you probably know, in Breath of the Wild, Link needs 13 heart containers in order to draw the sword. That is a minimum of 24 Sheikah shrines, assuming that he gets 4 heart containers from defeating each of the Blight Ganons. As we see with Trial of the Sword, the Master Sword also has a direct connection to the Sheikah monks. We also know that the spirit of Fi is in the sword. The sound effect and music that plays when Zelda is talking to the sword are all from Skyward Sword, and directly connected to Fi herself. So the thought process here is that the reason the sword hurts Link when he tries to pull it is due to the sword physically rejecting him as the hero. If Link is a hero copy, and the spirit of the hero has indeed moved on, then it is entirely feasible that the sword may be acting as intended to violently reject whoever is trying to pull it. However, in the case of Link, if he has completed a bunch of Sheikah shrines, he may very well be on his path to proving himself as the hero, even if he is unaware of that is what he is doing. I imagine that Fi is behind the scenes making this possible, as she is the one who told Zelda to send him to the Shrine of Resurrection. Furthermore, the connection with the sword and the monks could explain Maz Koshia's behavior when it comes to testing the hero. In particular, his final lines upon defeating him are, "You have erased all doubt from my mind. You are a true hero." This line always seemed odd to me, as to why he would doubt Link as the hero. But if Link was some sort of copy trying to replace the real hero who died, it suddenly makes a lot more sense. Another line that suddenly makes more sense if this theory is true is the dialogue Zelda says during the confrontation with Dark Beast Ganon. You may not yet be at the point where you have fully recovered your power or all your memories, but courage need not be remembered, for it is never forgotten. On the surface level, it seems like an overly vague statement meant to encapsulate a player's progress, regardless of the amount of memories they have recovered. But when viewed from this point of view, it seems almost like she is trying to justify what she has done. Sort of a, it doesn't matter if you remember or not, you can be the hero, or something like that. Upon defeating the beast, and Zelda sealing away the malice, she says a couple more interesting things. "I've witnessed your struggle to return. I always thought, no, I always believed that you would find a way to defeat Ganon. Thank you, Link, the hero of Hyrule. May I ask, do you really remember me?" These lines are particularly telling, as it shows that there was lingering doubt in her mind if the person who came out of the Shrine of Resurrection would actually be the same Link. Even after implanting memories, she probably continued to doubt it, because fundamentally she would have known that this is a copy, and even if he could take on all the same functions, he could never truly replace the Link that she lost. It's sad, really, yet somehow very fitting with the mood present throughout Breath of the Wild. Let's summarize. 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild, Sheikah technology continued to grow in power. In addition to building massive armies of robots to fight the Calamity, as well as 4 divine beasts, the Sheikah began to replicate aspects of the hero in case he ever disappeared. They tried to replicate the Master Sword as well, and created a facility that could repair the hero's body even after death. After the technology was banned, it was all buried and forgotten, leaving only Maz Koshia, the other Sheikah monks, and Fi, the spirit of the Master Sword, with knowledge of the hero replication process. Things would remain like this for about 10,000 years. 100 years before Breath of the Wild, the royal family begins digging up Sheikah technology after learning about the Calamity's upcoming return. Pora and Robbie discover many things, including the Shrine of Resurrection, and the function it has that could be used to rebuild the hero's body. On the day of Hyrule's downfall, Link would be critically injured in Hateno Field. Zelda, after receiving instructions from Fi, would instruct Link to be taken to the Shrine of Resurrection, believing he might be saved. Korra and Robbie would enter him into the shrine, and then plan with Impa how to proceed while Zelda prepared to confront the calamity. After 100 years, Link's body would awaken as a blank slate, the previous memories of the body and the essence of the hero having passed on. This new Link would then receive direct instructions from Zelda, which would lead him to several guides in his journey, all of them aware that this was a replacement Link. Through the use of the Sheikah slate, Link would go to photographs taken by Zelda around Hyrule. Princess Zelda would then use her mental connection to implant Link with a memory of the event in the photograph. With guidance, Link would make his way to the Korok Forest where he would pull the Master Sword, despite its resistance to him as the hero. Once in his hand, he would free the Divine Beast and take on the trials of Master Monk Maz Koshia. Upon proving himself worthy to Maz Koshia, Link would then take on Hyrule Castle and defeat the Calamity. Once victorious, Zelda would question Link directly if he truly remembered her, knowing that the person standing before her was really a copy of the man who died to protect her 100 years earlier. For even if he functioned exactly like the man he was modeled after, she knew he could never truly be the same no matter how much she wanted it to be so. Thank you guys for watching the episode. For the time being, I'm going to continue to focus on Zelda theories, but I'm beginning to plan out some Square Enix related theories for the future. If you enjoy my content, please give the video a like and subscribe. That would really mean a lot to me, and it helps the channel grow. See you next time. This is Cornelius Belmont signing out.